It's a tale that strikes at the heart of Afghan American identity. A generation of people who fled the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan to find themselves in America, starting over, watching painfully as their former homeland is torn apart. The Kite Runner, based on Khaled Hosseini's best-selling novel, opened as a play on Broadway last month. Special correspondent Jane Ferguson takes a look at the story behind the story for our Arts and Culture series, Canvas.
Let's fly!
It's a rare opportunity for Afghan stories to take center stage in the theater world, and for actors with roots from the region to play characters who mean so much to them.
Hassan was the greatest kite runner I had ever seen.
I think having this story done right now in this specific time in history is really special here on Broadway, you know, the pinnacle of what theater is and storytelling is. Never in a million years did I think I'd see a celebration of Afghan culture on Broadway. I didn't grow up thinking that. I didn't imagine it would happen. You know, most of the stories are about the culture, military focused.
Azita Ghanizadeh is an LA-based actor who has worked on various television series for years. Like her own character in the play, she came to America as a child when the Soviets took over Kabul in 1979.
She then made her way to Hollywood 20 years later, having never even owned a piece of luggage, and somehow made it onto television post 9/11 and has never played a terrorist or a refugee. That person is me.
Azita, who is also an activist campaigning for the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan, spoke at a TED Talk spin-off, TEDx, in 2020 about life growing up here as an Afghan immigrant.
I worked so hard to prove my worth that I went on to win every single award at that school, from Patrol of the Year to the Daughters of the American Revolution Citizenship Award. That's right. This little Afghan girl won an award dedicated to preserving American patriotism.
To her, the impact the play is having on others who may have felt like her growing up is the greatest reward for the hard work.
I've spoken to young girls that speak, Farsi and Dari and Arabic, and something that many of the young girls, and I'm talking teenage aged, do and say to me is, I've never heard my language not heard violently on television or in movies. I've never heard it not as a threat. And they cry because they're told that that's who they are, that's how they should feel and respond to their own language. So for them to come and hear that and see that in a celebration and have them be outside is absolutely phenomenal.
This is about more than cultural sensitivity. To the creative team behind the show, it's also about historical accuracy, getting the story right.
When in history is the story set? Who are these people? What are their backgrounds, their education level, and where they live, whether it's Kabul and Herat, means completely different dialects of Farsi.
Cultural advisor and script consultant Humaira Gilzai also carefully considered everything from the costumes to the set and language. Her attention to detail reflects a standard she knows the Afghan Americans in the audience demand.
My biggest fear is the Afghan audiences. The general audience, they're like, yeah, they're going to be impressed. It's no problem. But they're really my target. That is who I represent. That is who I work for. And that is my responsibility as an Afghan American. While I was there for the previews, which is the time that we really look at audience feedback, I would go every day, stand outside, and then flag everyone that I thought was Afghan, and then ask them, what they thought. And I would encourage them, please don't be polite. I really want to hear from you.
The play was planned before Kabul fell to the Taliban last August. But with this week marking the one-year anniversary of that date, the public display of Afghan culture is all the more poignant. The entire play is set to live performances of traditional Afghan drums played by California-based musician Salar Nader.
The first day that happened, I was awake for probably 2 nights in a row. Saw the fall, okay, what can I do? Get out with your instrument and play, sing, and dance as much as you can. And try to share the infectious grooves of Afghanistan. I want 1,000 people each night walking out of this theater knowing that, okay, let's be there for the Afghan people.
Live performances like this one of Salar in 2015 on Afghan TV are now banned. But, he says, musicians there remain defiant and won't let this culture die.
I'm in close contact with a lot of the musicians, so they still have their Facebook Messenger accounts, and I get 5 to 10 messages every morning and at night. And so online, a lot of the young performers and percussionists have been training with me. And so although they might not be able to play it outdoors or at a wedding or within a concert, there's also mental practice we do. And there's also hidden ways of practice that musicians and artists have done for hundreds of years.
More than 76,000 Afghans have arrived in the US since the fall of Kabul to the Taliban. Among the ranks of those fleeing are writers, actors, musicians whose art forms are banned by the Taliban. The entertainment industry is likely to go on telling more stories of Afghanistan and the US's war there in years to come. Those like Humaira hope a fresh take on that storytelling will evolve too.
What I would like to see is that we don't portray Afghans and Afghanistan in the same monolithic way that we have before in a lot of the movies that were done prior to last year. There was always Afghan women cowering in a corner, somebody was screaming at them, then there would be the Taliban running around with a big turban. So I would love to see more diversity in thinking and more nuance in the storytelling.
Red, blue, and yellow kites glided and spun past each other.
There has never been a better time for industry leaders to do that, as the community of Afghan creatives in America grows rapidly.
We've been here now for 40 years, and we're here, and we're ready to actually use our voice. So it's just a matter of a little bit of investigating to see who's here, who's available.
Azita looks forward to seeing their talents blossom here.
We are storytellers and we're poets and we're musicians. I mean, that's the beginning of culture, really. And so all of that history that lives inside of us, we just have to be willing to forge our own path, whether it's being an actor, whether it's producing, whether it's writing, whether it's joining programming.
Tough as the business is, she is confident Afghans will thrive.
You know, we're war refugees. We started over with 2 suitcases and no money and no community and no support system.
A gust of wind lifted my kite.
Those people are really strong and they've been through a lot. They can handle Hollywood.
I closed my eyes and loosened my grip. That's it!
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jane Ferguson in New York.